History has shown time and again how Greek city-states united to confront powerful empires. This scenario played out twice, in the 5th century BC, when Greece was attacked by the Persian Empire, and in the 2nd century BC, when Rome posed a threat. In the first case, the Greeks managed to achieve a series of brilliant victories and conclude a peace on favorable terms. In the second, the entire territory of Greece was turned into a Roman province. Why were the results of these two confrontations so different? Persia and Rome, differences in the attackers. A key factor in the differences was the kind of empires Greece faced. The Achaemenid Empire, known as Persia, was a predominantly land-based state with a relatively weak political structure. It covered a vast area, from the coast of the Indian Ocean to the shores of the Aegean Sea, which made it difficult to maintain control and unity. The Persian army was well organized, but its effectiveness was directly dependent on the availability of sufficient resources, such as food and fodder for animals. Persia also had an impressive navy, consisting of hundreds of biremes, triremes, and penters. Interestingly, such a significant fleet of the land-based Persia appeared thanks to the alliance with the Phoenicians. Persian ships were based in such Phoenician cities as Tyre and Sidon, located in the territory of modern Lebanon. It was the Phoenicians who were engaged in the construction of these ships and the training of crews. However, the combat experience of the Persian fleet was significantly inferior to the experience of the Greeks, for whom the sea was a natural environment. The turning point was the Battle of Salamis, where the Persian fleet suffered a crushing defeat. This gave the Greeks the opportunity to cut off the supply of Persian troops and threaten their rear by landing troops on the coast. Realizing the vulnerability of his army, King Xerxes I decided to retreat, leaving a limited force in Greece. These troops were soon defeated by the Greeks in a series of battles. In the case of Rome, the situation was completely different. The strength of Rome and the weakness of Greece. By the 2nd century BC, the Roman Republic had reached the peak of its naval power, having destroyed its main rival in the Mediterranean, Carthage. Even if all the Greek cities had united, their navy could not have competed with the Roman, which by that time had become unrivaled. Moreover, the Greeks did not seek a naval confrontation with Rome. On the contrary, they cooperated with the Romans, helping to destroy the bases of the Illyrian pirates, who posed a threat to the Greek cities themselves. The Romans did not repeat the mistakes of the Persians, who tried to conquer Greece with a huge army. Rome's first step was to confront the Macedonian king Philip V, who supported Hannibal in the Second Punic War. Many Greek cities then sided with Rome. After 3 Macedonian wars, during which the Achaean League remained neutral, Rome finally conquered Macedonia. Then the Romans began to interfere in the internal affairs of the Greek states, inciting conflicts between the cities and weakening their unity. As a result, the Achaean League fell apart, and the Greek cities were disunited and unable to resist the Romans. The decline of the Greek cities. By the beginning of the 2nd century BC, many Greek cities were in a state of serious decline. Plutarch described the state of Sparta as follows: the powerful began to accumulate wealth, pushing aside the direct heirs. Soon all property was concentrated in the hands of a few, and the majority of the inhabitants sank into poverty. In Sparta there remained only about 700 citizens, of whom only about 100 owned land, while the rest, impoverished, were inactive and reluctant to rise to the defense of the city. Such social and economic stratification was typical for many city-states, which significantly weakened their defense capability. Rome, on the contrary, had a stable system of supplying its armies, effective diplomacy, and the art of military planning. Results of the confrontation. The Romans applied the principle of divide and rule to manipulate the Greek city-states. Their flexible diplomacy, military superiority, and control over the sea routes made the conquest of Greece inevitable. Unlike the Persians, the Romans methodically destroyed any threat to their power, leaving no room for maneuver. Thus, if the victory over Persia in the 5th century BC was possible thanks to the unity and naval experience of the Greeks, then in the 2nd century BC the disunity and decline of the city-states made them easy prey for the Romans. The history of this confrontation highlights how important internal stability, social justice, and the ability to adapt to new challenges are for the survival of a state. We would be grateful if you would thank us with a like and a subscription to the channel. And we will continue to help you spend your time on the internet usefully.